In the minds of most motorcycle riders, the job of the tyres is to provide grip. Grip that allows them to ride how they want to while staying rubber side down. And while there's no real need to understand any more than that, the truth is the subject of tyres, how they work, and what they're doing for us is a lot more complex than most people think. And I want to shed some light on that here. Not only because I think a little understanding on this topic can improve how riders feel about their tyres and in turn improve their confidence, but also because I remember thinking, oh really? When hearing many of these facts over the years, some of which tackle commonly held beliefs. Alright, let's get into it. Number 1. The contact patch gets larger with lean. As you lean a bike over, the contact patch moves closer to the edge, until, on the rear tyre at least, it eventually meets it. This is when you would see the tyre is scrubbed all the way to that edge. But there's a common misconception that if you keep leaning past that point, the contact patch just gets smaller and smaller and you start to ride over the edge of the tyre, which is a common phrase in the track riding world. But a tyre's leaning potential doesn't stop once you reach the edge. In fact, in certain instances, you don't even have to lean that far to reach it, like when a significant amount of weight moves to the rear when exiting a corner, for example. And this is a key thing to understand. Motorcycle tyres are designed to deform in different situations to offer maximum grip and stability, and leaning is one of those situations. As this chart, which I've referenced 1 or 2 times over the years, clearly shows. In this instance, the contact patch meets the edge of the tyre around 30 degrees of lean. But as the bike leans further, the contact patch gets larger because of the profile of it, as well as the carcass construction, which is designed to deform into a more ideal contact patch for high lean angles. The main benefits being greater stability and predictability from the tyre through this delicate part of riding. Now, this could be a whole video in itself, but a larger contact patch doesn't automatically mean more grip, so it doesn't give you permission to ride like a buffoon, and it means that being smooth and having great control is still key. But at the very least, with tyres that have been designed with even the slightest bit of sporty riding in mind, you're not going to suddenly run out of tyre when you reach higher lean angles. Alright, number 2. Your tyres are always slipping. One of the absolute biggest fears for riders is that they're going to have good grip 1 second and then no grip the next with very little warning and nothing they can really do about it. But that's not really how tyres work, and the band of tyre slipping is probably bigger than you think. And a big reason why is because your tyres are actually designed to slip. While it might feel like a tyre is perfectly stuck to the ground when you're cranked over and holding a nice line, there will be portions of your contact patch that are actually slipping, and that portion gets greater as the bike leans more and more. The amount the tyre is slipping is referred to as slip angle, which represents the difference between the direction the wheel is pointing and the direction it's actually travelling. And this slight slip is good because it not only helps create the grip and cornering force to keep you turning, but also because this slip is what creates the valuable feedback you feel through the bike, which just helps you judge how much grip you really have. So, the tyres are always slipping, and as you get closer to the limit, the tyre works harder, feels more planted, and gives you clearer feedback. But as you go past that limit to the point where there's too much slipping, it means that grip is reduced, and so is that feedback. If it's the front tyre, this is when the bars can feel light and vague, and maybe that it wants to wander away from you. And you may also experience a high frequency vibration or chatter through the bars as the tyre fights to maintain grip. Or on the rear, you might get similar feelings. Rather than the bike holding a line and driving forward as you roll the throttle, it feels like it wants to move to the outside of the turn, which you can feel through your backside as it moves with the bike. Or if it slides enough, you might even get the sensation that the outside bar is coming towards you as the rear starts to come around. But the key point here is that there is a spectrum of tyre slip, and assuming good conditions and sensible rider application, the tyres will communicate where in that spectrum you are, giving you the warning signs that you're starting to ask more than the tyres can handle. And just as communication with your tyres is important, so is communication with your friends and your devices, which is where the partner of today's video excels, ASMAX. The ASMAX F1S is a smart Bluetooth headset used to control your mobile phone to play music, answer phone calls, use voice controls, and most importantly, use the intercom. Unlike most competitors that rely on your phone's voice assistant via a Bluetooth connection, ASMAX has a built-in offline assistant which can be engaged using the wake word. Hi Max.
Hi.
After which you have a range of commands to control the device, meaning that you can maintain that control even in poor signal areas. One feature I was really impressed with is the audio quality and environmental noise cancellation, which just makes music and voices clear even at high speed. And they have two main models, the F1S and the slightly lower spec S1, both of which offer a multi-user intercom with 4 modes to pick from. ASMAX mode for automatic mesh and 5G switching, ensuring stable connectivity during your rides. Cloud Talk mode, a 5G based mode for cross-brand communication. Group mode, a mesh-based private intercom mode. And free mode, a one-tap quick access intercom without the need for formal group pairing. And as an added bonus, the ASMAX World app even lets you adjust the lighting to match your style. At a more affordable price point and with everything you need inside the box to get set up and working, the F1S and S1 are fantastic options if you are in the market for a Bluetooth headset. To grab either model, just head to the links in the description to see the current pricing and what riders are saying about them. Alright, back to the video. Number 3. Tyre load doesn't solve everything. Now, generally speaking, more load on a tyre will increase grip, and for a lot of you that isn't that surprising, so we won't go too deep on that here. And I'd say this has been pretty popular knowledge for some time now, with people like the Yamaha Champions Riding School being the biggest voices around this. Having said that, in simple terms, the more the tyre can be pressed into the ground, the greater grip it's going to offer. So, in a lot of situations, more load at the right times is a good thing. Most of you get that. The reason why I'm bringing up here is because I feel it can sometimes be talked about like it's the holy grail for riding safety, particularly for the front end. Yes, more load on the front through trail braking, for example, will improve grip. But it doesn't mean it's unsafe to enter corners without trail braking. Even on the track, there are many corners that don't require the brakes, or even corners where riders are still accelerating as they enter them, like Corums at Snetterton, for example. And riders get through these corners fine because there's still enough load on the front tyre to stay stuck to the ground in those situations. Now, you can definitely crash from an underloaded front tyre, but that's usually when the load comes off of it too quickly, either from releasing the brakes or rolling the throttle too quickly at higher lean angles. So yes, more load can help in many places, but tyre load is a balance depending on the situation and not something you need to force into all of them. Number 4. Weaving doesn't warm your tyres. Or at least it doesn't warm them enough. Heat is generated through flexing the tyre's carcass, and while weaving does flex it to a degree as well as scrub up the surface, it doesn't do enough to properly heat your tyres. The way to get the most carcass flex, and with it heat that's generated through the whole tyre, is with smooth but firm braking and acceleration. This gets the carcass flexing more for extended periods of time, and even at modest lean angles, this can heat a tyre all the way through. And that's important because we don't just want surface heat. For a tyre to properly do its job, we need the whole of it to be up to temperature, because if there's a big enough disparity between surface temperature and carcass temperature, meaning that the surface is softer than the carcass underneath, you're not only going to have a tyre that's offering lower grip, but the surface can literally be ripped away because it doesn't have the pliability to move around in the way you're asking it to. Admittedly, most of this is relevant to track riders, but even on the road, if you are planning a little spirited riding, if you're heading out on stone cold tyres, you're still going to want to deliberately build up heat in them through smooth but firm braking and acceleration. Number 5, your tyres turn the bike. Ask most riders, how do you go around a corner? And the answer will probably be, we use the bars. But while they are fundamental to achieving the result we want, it's not the bars themselves that make the bike turn, and neither is it our lean angle. We lean into corners to balance the gravity pulling us down, and the rotational torque about the contact patch, created by inertia, that wants to flip us to the outside. This is what was often referred to as centrifugal force, though that's now largely accepted as being a fake force. In any case, what's actually keeping us moving on an arc is the shape of the tyres. With the tyres having a wider diameter in the middle compared to the edge, as the bike leans over and the tyre deforms, it moves the contact patch inside the centerline of it and creates a conical effect. And just like rolling a cone around the table, the tyres do the same thing, and that's what keeps the motorcycle travelling in an arc. So while the bars are fundamental to altering your lean angle and making use of these dynamics, it's not the bars themselves that are keeping the motorcycle on a curved path. And finally, number 6, in the wet, your contact patches get smaller with speed. Your tyre's grip in the wet depends entirely on the rubber actually touching the road, and water is constantly trying to prevent that from happening. The grooves and sipes cut into your tyre tread exist for one purpose: to grab water from the contact patch and throw it out of the way so rubber behind it can find the road surface underneath. The problem is that this process takes time. At low speed, your tyres have plenty of time to channel water away before the next section of tread arrives, keeping the contact patch large and well connected with the road. But as you go faster, each section of tread has less and less time to do that, and water simply can't be shifted quickly enough. So it starts to pull under the tyre and the contact patch shrinks as a result. Push the speed far enough and the tyre loses the battle entirely. The water underneath builds enough pressure to lift the tyre off the road surface and you're hydroplaning, effectively floating on water with no meaningful grip at all. Motorcycle tyres do have a natural advantage here, as their rounded, pointy profile acts a bit like a boat hull, slicing through the standing water rather than riding over it. That inherent shape buys you some margin, but it isn't something to count on. So, the next time you think about giving your bike a good straight line run out in the wet, I'd think twice. Now, if you are generally looking to improve grip, particularly at the front end to avoid the dreaded front end tuck, in this video here I break down the biggest reasons why riders lose front tire traction and what you can be doing to avoid it yourself. Outside of that, thank you so much for joining me for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.